All right, baby.
That's spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
We'll say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner. Welcome to 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football. I am your host, Brian McFadden. It is Friday, September 16th, 2022. We are live on YouTube and other places. This is our Friday game pick show. Going to go ahead and acknowledge the technical difficulty. Our man, John Chapman from 49ers Rush is on. Got a little excited.
I got pumped.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. We got week 2 coming right around the bend. Anthony Weiner, our producer, going to need to get a little quicker on those transitions, but that's okay. John, dude, Friday, we got games coming up. We had an awesome game we're going to talk about last night. How you feeling, man?
I'm great, man. The fact that, you wait, 6-7 months for that first week 1, and then it's over, then it's like, hey, guess what? 3 more days, you got more football. And that's what we had last night. So just so pumped for week 2. A lot of the narratives, you can get jacked for week 1. You can show up and, be on the mountaintop, even though and just cover up some bad things about your team.
Right.
Now it's
the
time.
Real football starts,
now
right?
It's time.
You can game plan for 3 months for one opponent, but then, hey, guess what? That's why so much of the week 1 narratives were fun and we overreact, but so little of that translates towards the end of the season. We're going to get more data this week. John, this is our Friday Pick'em show. For those of you who are just tuning in, I'm doing a Run Your Pool VIP contest. If you're unfamiliar with that, go to runyourpool.com. You can get a discount using promo code LEGITVIP right there at the bottom of the screen. You get insider pick data, guides, all sorts of extra exclusive information to make your picks. But more importantly, you can try to compete with me, Brian McFadden, co-founder of Legit Football. I put my picks on Twitter @_Legit Football every Thursday. We're picking against the spread, and then I give the results on Tuesday. I went 9-7 last week. I'm already 1-0 this week. Yes, I picked the Chargers to win, but I picked them to cover, and guess what? That last amazing heroic touchdown by the injured Justin Herbert covered. So we're going to go through, John. That was fantastic. We're going to kick off. We're going to do it, but are you ready to talk some football today?
Let's go.
Let's do it. Without further ado, 30 minutes of legit... Friday, I'm too excited. That's the first time I've ever messed that up. 30 minutes of football with Legit Football starts now. So, John, before we get into the picks for week 2, we are going to talk a little bit about last night. Final score, the Chiefs won 27-24. High-level first impressions on last night's Thursday night game.
It was incredible. We're going to get to see those 2 quarterbacks go for a while, which is awesome. The NFL continues to make it illegal to pick off Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, really.
They will not allow anything negative to happen to him, which is frustrating because, I don't know. Coaching matters. I'll say that. Staley, again, that pick 6. Players sitting there telling him, I can't play. I can't run. I can't run. And they try to hurry up on the goal line, and it cost them the entire game.
Some 4th down decisions, too. The opposite of what he did last year. Too conservative.
But the quarterbacks are the story. Mike Williams, incredible. 2 great teams. And I strongly, not only do we get to see them play once more because they're in the same division, I strongly think they're going to have to play in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I actually think if we look at the entirety of that game, that the Chargers actually played better than the Chiefs. Not by much. We're not talking about, leaps and bounds. But I thought just the way they moved the ball, but that they had problems, as you mentioned, with clock management, 4th down decisions, the complete opposite. Last year, they kept getting knocked because in the game they lost in LA at SoFi to the Chargers because they kept going for 4th down and missing it. This time, Staley did the opposite. Like, he had multiple opportunities where analytics say, hey, you're better off going for it in these scenarios in Kansas City territory, and they ended up punting. I think that hurt them. And most importantly, that big pick 6 was really the difference in the game. And with Herbert getting hurt, although that didn't seem to stop them from running down and scoring. So
he's tough, man. I like that kid a lot. I walked away. My number 1 takeaway was Herbert's the real deal. He's the real deal.
Oh, yeah. He's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. And yeah, we'll quickly talk about that interception that you mentioned. So I think it was Asante Samuel Jr. got what looked to me, yes, it was questionable, but I didn't see clear evidence to overturn that. And they seem to have no problem overturning that. Your thoughts on that pick?
Yeah, they talked afterwards and they even released this transcript. Like, did you guys have, different angles that Amazon didn't have? And they're like, oh, we don't know. Like, it's just a terrible call. There's no doubt about it. Anytime it has to do with him, err on the side of Patrick Mahomes. That's what the NFL wants. They want the storylines. And it's sad that it's that way because, it might have been the difference in the game. But, 5 weeks from now, nobody's going to remember, which is what the NFL wants.
Mahomes had at least one other interception that was dropped. So this game could have easily gone the other way. I'm still confident that I picked the Chargers to win. Like I said, I do think they played slightly better, but that's what we love about this game. It doesn't always the team that plays better that wins. The defense for the Chiefs, I'll give them credit for that. They made the play. Rookie 7th round pick makes the play of the game. I think, this is going to be a fun matchup to watch both later in the regular season and in the playoffs. Let's wrap that up. Let's go ahead and move to the Friday game. So, guys, what we're going to be doing on, what does it say? Let's see, add to stream. Perfect. Is we're going to have my picks up here. We're going to go through each one. The picks that I have are against the spread, but we're also going to give our thoughts on who we think is going to win the game, regardless of the spread. John is going to give his thoughts based on this list. He does picks on his own show. I don't know if he's going to differ here. You'd have to find out. I know he's got some exclusive content on his Patreon. John, make sure to tell everybody later where to get that stuff. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. Obviously, I picked the Chargers to cover last night, and they did. New thing I'm introducing last week. This is actually from one of our watchers last week. He asked for a confidence pick. And I'm going to be honest, I don't remember who asked for it, but you got it. We're going to have a 1 through 16. 16 being the most confident, 1 being the least confident. So as you saw, I was not extremely confident in my pick for Los Angeles just because the Chiefs at home, very good team. But that's what the confidence meter is. So let's jump right into it. Let's go Carolina Panthers at New York Giants. Giants coming off that awesome comeback victory. Brian Daboll with giant cojones goes for 2 to beat the Titans, last year's number 1 AFC seed. The Giants are favored by 2.5. Carolina at home. I think that this is I just like how this game sets up for the Panthers, which is why I had them covering. I think Carolina will win this game too, which is why it was a little bit easy. But as you can see, my confidence level is not super high. I've got a confidence level at 3. John, what are your thoughts on Panthers at Giants?
I'm a big Robert Saleh guy. Having said that, I think the New York Jets are one of the worst franchises in the entire NFL. I have zero faith in them, especially with Flacco
the
back
Giants.
there.
Giants.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, I apologize.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Wrong New York team. No worries.
Sorry about that. And again, I'll say this, the Giants are bad. Now, they came out and they won in extraordinary fashion last week, and that was awesome. But do you believe in Daniel Jones? Well, I believe in him in about as much as I believe in Baker Mayfield. This is just a bad team versus a bad team. And early on in the season, anytime there's kind of a push level talent or coaching advantage, you always take the points. You take the points early in the season, you push the points late in the season. Those are kind of my general rule. So I'm with you right here. I'm going to Carolina, but again, it's only because they're getting those points, and it's only 2.5 at that.
One thing to keep in mind, so yes, the Giants won that game, but Daniel Jones was pressured on 69% of his dropbacks against a Tennessee defense who, yes, they have Jeffrey Simmons, but Harold Landry was lost for the year, so they were not at full strength. I think Carolina has shown the ability to rush the passer. You have Brian Burns there. So I just think that they're going to be able to get pressure. I don't think you'll have that kind of late surge. It is at home for the Giants, but we're in complete agreement. Not super confident, but I've got Carolina to cover. Also, you guys know that normally this is the Pro Football Demon where he's on here making these picks. He went ahead and sent his picks in. He was unable to make the show today. We're going to keep that ticker at the bottom. So you want to know who Rich picks? Look at the bottom. You'll see Pro Football Demon. He is going with the Giants. So we don't get his reasoning. We don't know why. Last week, he went 6-10. So, Rich, we have a wager going on for the season. I have a 3-game lead on you. Good start week 1 for me. But yeah, if you guys want to hear Pro Football Demon's picks, just look at the bottom of the screen. Let's go on to Pittsburgh Steelers at home, taking on the New England Patriots. The Patriots favored by 1.5 points. Guys, these spreads come direct from Run Your Pool, so you might see different point differentials on different sports betting sites. But to me, you can see the confidence level of 15. This was one of the most no-brainer picks for me today. The Steelers defense against that Patriots offense, which looked awful at home, even without TJ Watt, I'm confident in Pittsburgh covering and winning this game.
Yeah, I think the best player's out, right? And so that's what I think this money reflects. And there's so much history to the fact that Belichick never loses 2 games in a row, but that's a bad team. If you flip the spread and you gave New England a 1.5 or even more, spread's gone up to 2 in a lot of places. I'm still taking the Steelers here. So I'm with you on the confidence scale. It's not so much of my belief in the Steelers.
Right.
I do not believe in that offense or defense with what they're putting out of the Patriots, and you're putting in back issues for Mac Jones, which I hope he's okay. Nah, I'm staying away from this one. As far as the Patriots go, I'm loading up on the Steelers side. I don't give a damn about the points here. Steelers by a mile for me.
Yeah, like I said, that's why the confidence level is so high for me. This is very much a reflection of the talent of that Steelers defense with just how little I think about the Patriots. I actually, when I put these picks on Twitter on Thursday, somebody quote tweeted and said they love the reflection of the lack of confidence in the Patriots. And it's true. And I've been screaming this since the offseason that I don't think simply losing Josh McDaniels to Vegas and replacing him with 2 defensive coaches and Patricia and Judge was going to make it's going to have a bad effect. We've already seen that play out. Let's talk about Tampa Bay Buccaneers division game at home at New Orleans Saints. This is one of those things where on paper it really looks good for the Bucs, but the Saints have always kind of given Brady trouble. It is home for Tampa Bay. Bucs have a ton of injuries, especially at pass catcher. Players who have missed practice this week: Mike Evans, Julio Jones, Chris Godwin is already looking like he's not going to be in. Russell Gage limited. He at least is back and practicing. That's a lot of pieces missing. That being said, I'm not confident in this Saints team that was really getting beat up by the Falcons until the fourth quarter. I think that, yes, I know they have their number, but the Saints were able to get run on by the Falcons. Cordero Patterson racking up 120 yards, so the normally stout run defense for the Saints wasn't there. Short of one fourth quarter where the Saints looked good, I didn't like how they looked against Atlanta. So I'm taking the Bucs at home to cover and win this game.
This is a rough one because you got the Saints who have back-to-back like biggest divisional rivals to start the season, which is rough. Saints, as you said, they've kind of always taken care of business versus the Bucs. It seems like I hate all the injuries. I'm going to differ with you here. I'm going the Saints. I want those points. He's at home. I'm not a Jameis Winston guy, and it hurts me to say Jameis Winston over Tom Brady. But with all those injuries, I'm going with Jameis Winston. Eat a W, baby.
Yeah, you guys can see my confidence level on this is 4. I guess for those of you listening and not watching, I need to remember to say the confidence is the first week we're doing this. My confidence is 4, which means it is one of the least confident games for all the reasons that John just listed. I may have picked the Bucs, but I could easily see Tampa Bay winning this by a field goal or less. So even if they win, those 3.5 points makes it tricky. That's why I've got the confidence level of 4. Let's go and talk to the New York Jets. John was just excited to talk about the Jets. That's why he was throwing it in there earlier. We've got them on the road at Cleveland. 6.5 points here, which is really what I'm leaning towards. I am picking the Jets to cover. I don't see them beating the Browns, but I also don't think the Browns are going to put up enough of firepower on offense with Jacoby Brissett to win by a touchdown or more. What about you?
Well, this is the debut of the gnome, the 50-yard line little leprechaun.
Oh, yeah, that's so weird, by the way.
I think this is the worst game of the week as far as talent level, narratives, whatever else. And, man, I think the Jets are a bad team. I really, really do. 6.5 points is a lot against a bad Browns team. I got you. I'm taking the Jets to with the spread, but I think the Browns win it. This is going to be bad football. This is a game I hope they do not air. It's just going to be bad. It's just bad for the NFL. Robert Saleh, man, if they lose this, it's going to start, sadly, which I love the man, but he has not done the best job. I think Jets and Saleh could be the first coach out, which breaks my heart.
Yeah, it's sad to say, but I think you might be onto something there. That was a horrible showing. Granted, they had Joe Flacco, but Zach Wilson hasn't exactly impressed either. I just remember I got to mention Pro Football Demons picks. So we already mentioned Giants. He picked Steelers, Saints, and he's got Cleveland in this. He's got Cleveland obviously winning and covering, so he believes they're going to win by a touchdown or more. As usual, Rich and I are differing. I love that. It makes it exciting. Let's go to my Miami Dolphins on the road after a decisive victory against the Patriots, taking on the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens favored by 3.5. This might be a homer pick for me. This is my too confident. So this is the second least confident pick I have behind the Chargers and Chiefs from last night. But I went with Miami covering. I do think the Ravens will win, but I feel like it will be by a field goal or less, which is why I'm sorry, but maybe I went with a homer pick here. Give me your thoughts here, John. So I think I'm screwing myself up here.
I like the Dolphins in their division. I think it's probably the worst division of football outside of the Bills, but Ravens are just a better football team for me. So even though the points almost made me switch to the side, man, I'm going the Ravens at home. I think this is Lamar Jackson prove it year, and as long as he's healthy, I'm going to have a very difficult time going against them, and 3.5 points just not enough. So I'm taking the Ravens.
Yeah, I like I said, at too confidence, this is when I switch back and forth on. I think I just imagined that this would be a 3-point victory for Baltimore, in which case the Ravens win, but the Dolphins cover, which is why I'm picking Miami. Detroit Lions, on your show, I'm higher on the Lions than most. Rich, Pro Football Demon, is picking them in the playoffs, so he's even higher than I am. I've got the 2.5-point favorites at home. I'm going with that. I'm feeling it. I know Washington won last week, but it was the Jaguars. We got the full Carson Wentz experience where he threw some touchdowns. He threw some horrible interceptions. The Lions had a passionate comeback against the Eagles, almost pulled it off. I think they can win at home by 2.5 points or by a field goal or more. What about you?
Man, it's crazy to me that the Lions are favored. That's just weird to see. And I like what they're doing. I do. And eventually it's going to happen. But I think it's going to be a lot more close games. And this is going to be favored. But, man, you're giving me points against the Lions. I don't really give a damn who they are. I'm going to take them. I don't like Wentz at all. But I'm taking the Commanders in this one. I cannot give points and choose the Lions. It's just against my nature till they prove me wrong. And I've made a lot of money betting against them. And I'm going to continue doing so until Campbell starts to take some of my money back.
That's a sound strategy. Cannot fault you for that. Pro Football Demon, forgot to mention, he picked the Ravens to cover and win that game. And he has the Lions, not surprisingly, to cover the 2.5 points at home. Shout out David Morazzo. Thank you. The Dolphins looking good. Love the coach. Lots of talent. Couldn't agree more. Hopefully that translates. It'll be a good test this week. All right, let's go. We've got 30 seconds left. Let's save these picks for the second half. So tell everybody a little bit about your Patreon and kind of where they can find your really, really deep inside data.
Yeah, so we're a film-based approach show. That's what we do. We go through every single offensive, defensive, special teams play, the all 22, walk through the scheme, why everything works. That should just go to patreon.com/49ers Rush Podcast. And I hear you. You're saying I'm not a 49ers guy. Well, guess what? We do an entire football 101 series. If you want to understand what cover 2 is, what cover 6 is, what the run gaps are, all that kind of stuff, what an outside zone scheme is designed to do in the running game, we break all that down. I think we have over 350 videos that as soon as you sign up, you get them all. So that's where we're at. And again, if you join, you peek around, you don't like it too much, money back guaranteed. So, patreon.com/49ers Rush Podcast.
We have somebody lurking in the comments who wanted to shout out Clayton D'Angelo, who is the producer of the 49ers Rush Podcast, says, what up, boys? Clayton, always nice to see you. And he also says, of course, got to put this on the screen. The Patreon is worth it. 100% is, regardless of if you're a 49ers fan. So, guys, we have reached halftime. That's what that friendly little chime means. Normally, we're talking about legit football. Definitely sign up if you're not already signed up. legitfootball.com. 100% free news to your email, but I want to really emphasize this run your pool thing because I want more of you guys to compete against me directly. We've gotten a lot of attention on Twitter by putting my picks on Thursday. It was something I just kind of decided to do in week 1. Now I've committed to the whole year, so you will see my VIP picks, the ones that John and I are going over right now, every Thursday. You can use that data plus the insider pick data, the top 1% of pickers on Run Your Pool. You get access to their picks, percentages, who they're preferring that given week if you're a VIP member. So just go to runyourpool.com, sign up for their VIP, and enter code LEGITVIP to get half off your first month. 100% worth it. You can enter the VIP contest and compete directly against me, or just get the data and compete in your own friends and family pools. Use that information. If you've got the Patreon for 49ers Rush and you read Legit Football and you're in the VIP, dude, you guys are going to make lots of money. So wanted to make sure to do that. We've got Legit VIP is the code here. You'll see it on Twitter. You'll see it in the newsletter. Thanks to our partners with runyourpool.com. Looking forward to doing more stuff with them throughout the season. I am ready to go ahead and jump into the second half here and finish out these picks for week 2. How about you, John?
Yeah, let's roll, man. This is fun. I'm having a good time.
Great. I love it. We kind of keep it concise. We got the 30-minute format, but we usually find a way to get it done. So let's pull these picks back on. I'm also going to pull Rich's picks back up. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the ticker at the bottom. I'll try to do a better job of mentioning who he's picking for those audio listeners who do not watch. So let's go into Indianapolis Colts, fresh off a tie. A tie. That's where we had a tie week 1. There is nothing worse in the sport of pro football than a tie. They are favored on the road at Jacksonville by 4.5. I know this is probably, and I wouldn't surprise if you differ with me on this because it's a division game. The Colts had trouble with Jacksonville. They actually got knocked out of the playoffs hunt last year by the Jaguars, but I feel like they're going to bounce back. I think we're going to see more of the second half Matt Ryan than the first half Matt Ryan that we saw last week against Houston. So I like them to win this game by more than 4.5 points. I'm picking the Colts. My confidence level is 7, so kind of right in the middle.
Yeah, because you're told like in division games and home division games and you get points, it's like, all right, cool, let's roll with that. But man, my heart just won't let me do it. The Colts are just a better team. Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence has been awful, and I hope that starts to turn around, but like we have seen very, very little progress whatsoever. I'm going the Colts right here as well. I can't help it. Everything else tells me go Jags, but Trent Baalke, are you kidding me? I'm saying no.
Pro Football Demon is aligned with the two of us. He is also picking Indy to win and cover those points on the road in a division matchup. Let's go to an NFC West team, Los Angeles Rams. Now, this one is interesting because of the size of the spread. Playing at home against the Atlanta Falcons. The Rams just got pummeled at home against the Buffalo Bills. 10.5 points. The Falcons coming off almost beating the Saints. I know that's a high spread, but I just feel like this is a bounce back game for McVay. McVay, who's never been under 500, is under 500 for the first time in his entire coaching career, gets a Falcons team that just got run over by the Saints on the ground game. I just see them really controlling this game, having a bounce back. They're not facing the Bills offense. They're facing Marcus Mariota. I think they're going to win by 2 touchdowns. Confidence 9, so kind of still right in the middle, but I've got the Rams winning and covering. How about you, John?
Yeah, this is like the equivalent of like an English Premier team getting relegated and playing against like the top of the top, right? The Bills. Now you play the Falcons. It's going to be hilarious. This is going to be a comical game. Now, I will say this. I do have the Rams covering, but if they struggle, and more importantly, if there's a lot of pressure on Matt Stafford against the Falcons, Rams season is in trouble. They got 3 out of their top 6 linemen are out of this game. So I do have the Rams covering, but if they struggle, if this is a close game, sound the emergency alarm for the Rams.
Yeah, completely agree. There is going to be a lot of data from this show or from this game going forward that we can use to kind of project the Rams for the rest of the season. Their offensive line was a huge problem, but we could have chalked that up to Buffalo in week 1. But if you have a problem against the Atlanta Falcons in week 2, all of a sudden, red flag, sound the alarm. Yep. This is something that's going to be concerning going forward. But both of us have the Rams and let's see, Atlanta. So Rich, Pro Football Demon, is picking the Falcons to, I'm assuming, not win. So he's picking them to cover. Let's go on another NFC West game. This is a game John knows more about than any of these other games as one of the predominant 49ers podcasters, and that is Seattle Seahawks, fresh off their very surprising win on Monday night against Russell Wilson at home, go to the road 20 minutes from my house to Levi Stadium in Santa Clara to take on the Niners. This is another one of those point spread issues where I really believe the Niners will win this game, but Seattle's getting 9.5 points. Shanahan's 2-8 against the Seahawks. They just, even without that number, division game, that's just such a high number. John, are you with me here on picking Seattle to cover that?
Yeah, I'm not betting the 49ers to cover the spread. I'm not touching that. It's just too much. The Seahawks have had the number of the 49ers. Now, how much of that was Pete Carroll versus Russell Wilson? I think it was a little bit of both, but I'm staying away from this one. I do not like it as a 49ers fan. I did bet the win small bet, the 1-13 and the 1-8 victory. So if the 49ers win within those frames, but I'm not taking this 8.5 points. No, I've got Seattle covering. It's going to be a close game. These two teams hate each other.
And John mentioned 8.5 on Run Your Pool. It's 9.5. They lock in
Right.
earlier, so that spread has gone down. If you're on the
It's
Run
going to
Your Pool
rain.
VIP,
It's going to rain. It's going
if
to
you
rain.
guys, you can still sign up before Sunday. If you do the Run Your Pool, that is locked in at 9.5. That's a pretty solid. I have a confidence pick of 13 out of 16 for this game because I just can't imagine a scenario. Not that it can't happen, but it's very unlikely that the San Francisco 49ers will win that game by 10 points or more. Very confident San Francisco will win, but I don't think they'll cover that spread. That's why I've got a high confidence. And Rich agrees. So we're all in agreement here on the spread. Go for Seattle covering that 9.5. Houston at Denver, 10.5 points. This was another one that was high confidence level for me. I liked how Houston looked. I've been higher on Houston than a lot of people. 10.5 points for a Broncos team that looked pretty lackluster in their opening game. Yes, it was Russell Wilson coming back, but the coaching issues with Nathaniel Hackett, I'm jumping all over this 10.5 points. This is my third highest confidence at 14. I'm picking Houston to cover.
I'm taking Houston too. Always take the points early. And look at what Lovie Smith did. He played not to win the game. He coached not to win the game. He coached to keep it close. And he achieved that in getting a tie. He's going to continue to do that. It's going to be a closer game than people think just because of the way they call their plays, their defense. They just want to shrink the game and keep it close. And I think that's going to happen. Now, I think Denver will be better. They're not going to fumble twice on the 1 yard line. But yeah, I think Houston's going to surprise people and just, again, they're just trying to learn to be competitive. And I think that's what their goal will be. I have Houston covering.
Yeah, and I think that Lovie Smith mentioned he wants to get Dameon Pierce, the rookie who they been very high on, drafted him in the 4th round, signed him to a historical contract as far as guarantees for a 4th round pick, sat him in the final preseason game, and then got very little. Rex Burkhead took over that backfield. So I think you're going to see a lot more Dameon Pierce. As John mentioned, they want to control the clock. I just think this is lining up well. Still got to pick Denver to win if you're doing a straight-up money line pick 'em. Picking the Broncos at home, but 10.5 points. I can't ignore that. I'm picking Houston to cover. And Rich agrees. Pro Football Demon, we're all aligned on this on Houston. Las Vegas Raiders losing last week decisively, but they had some moments against the Chargers in a division game. Get a Cardinals team that was absolutely demolished. John, on your show, we have talked ad nauseum about our feelings on Cliff Kingsbury and the Cardinals roster and their issues as a whole. I only have a confidence level of 5, but that's more based on the spread. But I am picking Vegas to cover that 5.5 points at home against an Arizona secondary that couldn't stop a nosebleed against Kansas City last week.
Yep, I'm with you. Raiders, this is probably one of my highest confidence level picks. I don't like the 5.5, but it doesn't matter to me. I don't think Arizona could beat the majority of teams in the NFL right now, no matter the situation.
I don't know if Takaido Luna's in the chat today. He's a regular viewer. We know he's a Raiders fan. If you're listening or if you're watching this video later, I'm going to shout
you got
out
a Niners guy on your side, man.
Yeah.
Well, what's happening here?
Yeah, you're not going to get that a lot. So congrats. We're picking, and Pro Football Demon is the same. We're aligned on this. Vegas to win and Vegas to cover that 5.5 points at home. Cincinnati Bengals, rough loss, division loss to the Steelers last week. Now get to travel to a Dallas Cowboys team that will be who by the way was the only team in week 1 to not score a touchdown with Dak Prescott. And now they have Cooper Rush, a quarterback that the Cowboys released and were confident enough that no one would pick him up so that they could bring him back to the practice squad. This is a quarterback no one wanted, not even the Cowboys. Now they have to start him. The spread is 7.5 points, and I'm easily going that. I think this is a very one-sided game. I don't care if it's at Dallas. This is my 16 confidence. This is the game I'm the most confident in. Bengals to win and more than cover that 7.5 points.
Yeah, this is up there for me too. I think the Cowboys are going to be a top 5 pick in the draft next year. You had Jerry Jones this morning criticizing CeeDee Lamb on national media. I mean, this is just, it's going to be bad, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to get better. I think the Bengals are just going to dominate the mess out of everything that the Cowboys are. In Jerry's world, I'm so excited about this. I hope they just get baptized, man.
I got to point out, Clayton puts in the chat, Cowboys in big trouble already, Jerry gonna Jerry. That's kind of, that whole idea behind Dak not going to injured reserve and not getting, it's just mismanagement left and right, right?
It's bad. He's trying to keep perception in a way to keep the fans engaged and giving up a roster spot allowed to do so. Remember, this is the same Cowboys that kept one quarterback on their active roster.
Yes.
One quarterback to start it off. And now they seem to be happy with Cooper Rush. Oh my gosh.
And of course they're saying, I mean, what else are they going to say? But they're like, oh, he knows the system well. He's going to run it. No, you literally cut your other quarterbacks because you just we're perfectly content going in with Dak. We've seen the arrows of that. I think, John, you're with me in that we both picked the Cowboys to miss the playoffs in our season predictions. And this is one of those stories that just proved us right from the start. And things only got worse without Dak Prescott. Offensive line is a problem. Lack of weapons is a problem. CD with 2 catches on like 10 targets in his first game as the true wide receiver 1. Sorry if you're a Cowboys fan, red alert there.
It's going to be bad.
Yeah. So, and Rich is aligned with us. So all 3 of us picking Cincinnati to win and win by 8 points or more against the Cowboys. Next, this one's interesting. So the Green Bay Packers, who did not look good against the Minnesota Vikings. I know that you're higher on the Vikings than a lot of people are. Rich is very high. Pro Football Demon picked the Vikings to win the division in the preseason, so kudos to him there. And the Vikings dominated Green Bay. Rodgers looked very rough, especially when it comes to those new wide receivers. But they are favored at home by 10.5 against the Chicago Bears, who just beat your San Francisco 49ers in week 1.
Yeah, I'm taking the Packers big time here. Yeah. The Bears really were bad that game versus the Niners. They just had a lot of things go their way, penalties, the rain at the perfect time too. Like the rain would stop raining when the Bears were on offense, then it would like downpour when the Niners. I was there.
John was at the game, yeah.
It was just a perfect storm, literally and figuratively. So happy for the Bears. They're a bad team.
Yes.
I think the Packers are going to blow them out.
I agree. The Bears were my team in the predictions. I predicted they would be the number 1 overall pick at the end of the day. Earlier in the offseason, I thought it was Seattle. I got a little bit better, maybe like 30 for Seattle. But now I figured with the lack of talent, offensive line, defense, although the Bears got some play from some of their rookies. So maybe the future is bright there. Eberflus, new head coach, is a defensive-minded coach, came from Indy. But this is just the talent discrepancy is huge. And Aaron Rodgers owns the Bears. He has said that. He's been recorded saying that. So I think this is a bounce-back game for Green Bay. Even if they just stick to the run game and they just heavily utilize Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, it looks like Allen Lazard is on track to play. He's been practicing in a limited capacity. Not that he's a game buster, but I just think you're going to see the Packers more that we expected to see. They have a top 5 defense as far as talent. They're going to really make things tough for Justin Fields. The 49ers defense made things tough for Justin Fields in the first half of that game. I think that's more reflective of Chicago. So yeah, I'm picking Green Bay to win and cover 10.5 points. I think it's at least 2 touchdowns. It is a lot. At Lambeau, 11 confidence. This was actually a fairly high confident pick for me.
Yeah, I'm with you completely.
Rich, Pro Football Demon, does disagree. He does have Chicago to cover that. So interesting. Once again, we don't have him on. We can't get his insights. He'll be back on the show next Monday, Thursday, and Friday for you Pro Football Demon fans out there. But he does have Chicago to cover that 10.5. We got 2 Monday night games this week, which is weird.
I love it. I love it.
I love it, but I love to just like isolate on one game. Like last night, it was just Chiefs, Chargers. Now I got to switch back and forth on Sunday. So legit football, I cover all the games. I've got Sunday ticket. I literally have like 4 games on at once. I'll have like the quad screen with DirecTV. I already have that to deal with on Sunday. On Monday, I just want 1 game, but I don't get that luxury, John. We've got 2 games. The first one, let's talk about the Buffalo Bills at home against the Tennessee Titans. The spread is a bit rich here. I've got an 8 confidence level in this game, but man, did the Bills look better than any other team last week, and that includes the Chiefs over the Cardinals because you kind of keep the opponent in mind. Man, the Bills looked so good, and the Titans, they've got clear issues. 10.5 points, but I'm picking Buffalo.
Yeah, it's crazy because the Titans were the number 1 seed last year in the AFC, and now they're double-digit dogs. Like, again, I think you got to stay with Buffalo until they prove they're human because right now it's just unbelievable. I don't care who Buffalo's playing. I'm picking them almost no matter what. Yeah, 10 points, don't care. I am taking the Bills to cover.
They would have covered that with the Rams, more than covered that with the Rams, the defending Super Bowl champions. It looks like Pro Football Demon, I got to wait for the ticker to come back through, but I believe he is in alignment with us. Almost there. Buffalo. Yeah, so we're all 3 picking Buffalo, 10.5 points at home Monday night. I could see this being 2 touchdowns or more. And finally, we got just over 30 seconds left. Minnesota Vikings. Here's 2 1-0 teams, 2 potential playoff teams, 2 sleeper, maybe Super Bowl teams at this point. Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings getting 1.5 points on the road at the Philadelphia Eagles. My confidence level is 10. I loved how that O'Connell offense looks. Keep it short and sweet. I've got the Vikings winning and obviously covering this game.
I'll say this. Cousins is allergic to prime time. I've made so much money betting against him when the lights are on. I'm taking Philly. I think they're the better team. And again, when Kirk Cousins' lights are on, he lays a dud.
That was with Mike Zimmer. That's the one difference here. Pro Football Demon is aligned with me. He's got Minnesota. He's also high in the Vikings. We've known that all offseason. There we go. There are your week 2 picks against the spread. As I mentioned, I went 9-7 last week. John is even more knowledgeable than me when it comes. So between the two of us, take our advice, make those bets, go out there and make some money. Check on Twitter @_legitfootball on Tuesday. I will post the results. I'm 1-0 already this week because I picked the Chargers to cover last night. And Anthony, put up one more time that promo code. If you guys want the insider data, in addition to what you're getting from me, and if you're a Patreon subscriber, what you're getting from John, go to runyourpool.com, sign up for their VIP subscription, get half off the first month with code LEGITVIP, get that insider data, see how you do against me. You already know what my picks are, and then let me hear about it. Let me know how much better you are. Let me know the kind of money you're making. John, any last words before we sign off here?
Dude, this is an absolute blast, man. And appreciate what you're doing. And one of the first things I do every morning, as soon as I wake up, check my email, go through Legit Football. I freaking love it, man. So thank you, Brian.
Thank you, John. And for those that don't know, I'm on John's show every week. So if you want to get kind of a more NFC West focused flavor or some Niners flavor, we do every Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on 49ers Rush. And even if you don't, just go listen to his stuff anyway. It's amazing. YouTube or where you get your podcasts. Guys, enjoy week 2. This has been 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football. We'll see you Monday. That's spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
We'll say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner.